How does the Portland Business Alliance plan to balance big and small businesses?
Well, that's a really interesting question because that's one that came up in our study that we did, the economic study that we did. And, we talk about how we're a small business state, and we are. I mean, we have more successful small businesses than most other states. And so there's something really right going on around small businesses, so we need to figure out what that is and grow it. And when you look at our members, about 1,400 members, about 80% are small businesses. So we care a lot about small business. But you need to recognize that it's an organic entity, and you need both. You can't have a strategy that's all about big business or all about small business because they work together. A lot of our great small businesses do business with the big businesses. If you go talk to Intel, Nike, Columbia, the big businesses we have here, they really hire a lot of smaller contractors in the region. And they also have workers with incomes that then go and shop at the smaller stores or go to the coffee shops and do all of that. So you need both. You can't have a strategy that is about one thing or the other thing. It needs to be about both, and we need to be thoughtful about how we do them.
What are the different needs of big and small businesses? They're completely different.
Well, some are and some aren't. We did another really interesting study as part of, we've got a series of economic studies, and we looked at international trade, and we have a huge dependence. We're one of the most trade-dependent states in the country, and I don't have the number. Okay, so we did this study, and I'll give you this and some other stuff. It found that in Portland metro region, 268,000 jobs are related to international trade. In Oregon, 470,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs related. But the Portland metro region is really the big trade center. So what was really interesting in this is that in the export trade, we're a really big export region here. In the export trade, 88% of the businesses engaged in export trade are small and medium-sized businesses. So they have, and they may be, freight expediters for the bigger businesses, or they may, there's all kinds of things that they could do that's related to the other businesses. So they have a lot of the same concerns that, Intel would have about trade and trade barriers and what constitutes the right business environment to enable them to grow. So it really is not, there's many more similarities between small business and big business than you'd think. We hear a lot from small business people about access to capital. I think that is particularly for some kinds of small businesses, particularly the startups that need more capital to get bigger, and that's been really tough in the last couple of years, being able to get the money they need. We hear from businesses all over the map that they're concerned about workforce, getting qualified workers, especially in businesses where they employ a lot of people my age who are looking at retirement. As baby boomers retire, there's going to be a whole bunch of jobs open, and there's a question about whether there's qualified workers. So educated, qualified workforce, true small business, big business. Tax policy, it really is very business specific on whether tax policy is an issue. We deliberately have a tax policy that is useful and helpful to companies that engage in trade, and that's to get those companies here. So we have this estate tax policy that deliberately is encouraging those kinds of companies. And then we have some smaller businesses. The small business in Multnomah County pays a lot of taxes. If they're in Portland, they pay state tax, city tax, county tax, and they pay a city to county tax that no other city or county in the West has an income tax. So tax policy, it's a business to business, but we hear a lot about that. And another factor that people don't always get is how personal income taxes impact business people, family-owned businesses. It goes from generation to generation. Our personal tax rates, our capital gains rates really impact small and medium-sized businesses as well as large. A lot of small businesses are taxed at the personal rate. We have the highest in the country.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. So, it depends on what the business is, and people talk about small versus big. Nike started out of the back of Phil Knight's car. It was a small business. He sold shoes out of the back of his car. I lived in Seattle many, many years ago, and there were 2 Starbucks in the whole world. I used to drive to it because they had good coffee. So, they face a lot of the same struggles and some differences. So it really depends on what the business is.